the National Signing Day. As you know, I think you did something on the event about how a bunch of kids we've never heard of get all this attention on television. I understand it. I get it. They're the future of these college football programs. I think it's a little out of control with all the media attention they get when they have to realize I don't understand the network's perspective on this, that they think people know who these kids are. There's no one anywhere that knows some kid from in the middle of nowhere. Or, there's no one that lives, let's say, here in Nevada that's ever heard of any of these kids that play anywhere else. If you live in New York, you've never heard of all these kids that play in Florida. If you live in California, you don't know the kids that play in Texas. If you live in Oregon, you don't know the kids that play in Ohio. I mean, it's an absolute disaster with all this, like, hyping kids that we've never heard of, showing these kids putting a hat on. Now, I know it's their grand day, and they're so happy, and their families are thrilled, and I understand all that. They deserve it. They deserve the happiness, I think, amongst themselves and their families. When the kid decides where he's going to go and then they have a big press conference and he announces that, that's great and fine and dandy. I just don't think it should be on national television. I don't think anyone cares. I know I don't. I never have. I never will. I could care less about some high school kid I've never heard of. And call me when he starts scoring touchdowns on Saturday in the big-time college football programs. When I see him play at Alabama and they're scoring touchdowns, that'll be different. Until then, you're nothing to me. And there's another thing. The only kid that I cared about was the number one player, the kid Gary or whatever, the kid that went from Paramus Catholic to the Michigan Wolverines. And the reason why I say it matters to me is twofold. A, I knew who he was because I seen him play on TV in New York. In New Jersey, he's on TV. They show their games. And so I knew him. Now, if you know who the kid is, you obviously are caught up in it, and you're a fan of it, and you're like, okay, I can support that. But if you don't know who these kids are, it's the biggest waste of time ever. Now, the reason I think it's cool that he went to Michigan is because I think it proves to me that Jim Harbaugh has already earned his keep in Ann Arbor by getting the number one player in the country, the consensus number one player in the country, to go to Michigan. Shows how impactful Jim Harbaugh's presence is in Michigan, at Ann Arbor, at the University of Michigan, and running the Wolverines. In 1 year, they had a great season, and now he's signed the best player in America to play for him. The guy is unbelievable what he's able to do. He's been there 1 year, and he's already stealing the show.